me feel good.
Welcome to stage 25, the horns and the junction box. So let's begin with stage 1, and you will need this metal piece 25A, the radiator beam, and then there are two plastic pieces 25B, the radiator beam strut, and you will also need DM screws, so M, so we're going to be screwing them into metal. So looking at the orientation, I can see that these tabs need to be pointing upwards, and we have two locating, if you see them, two locating tabs. So this is actually going to go on not like that. So you actually want this, if you see this tab, it's pointing that way. And then what we will do is should have got my screw ready, shouldn't I? So let's get that one for next. And then all we're going to do is place this on there so it's pointing towards the outside, and that can go in, that cannot go in. Why is that not going in? There we go, that's going in nicely. Now these can go in normally really tight, but don't forget that you are screwing a piece of plastic, so you just want to hold that down so there's no movement. You don't want to yank it in or tighten it so much that it's actually going to snap that piece of plastic. So let's pop the second one in, and we can see there's quite a lot of screw holes going on in there, and that's going to go in. So it's kind of pointing in the same direction. Sorry, good job I checked my... So they're actually both, you see that you've got, they kind of look like they're pointing up. I think they look like they're pointing up anyway. So, and that one goes in there like so. Make sure it's in the locating peg. And there we go, and that's in nice and tight. So on to stage 2, and this time we're going to need 25J, which looks possibly like this one, and 25I, and that's right. So I can see that there's a hole and another small hole, and there's a hole and a locating peg. That's going to go on, let me double check. There we go. That's going in like that. That isn't a great fit. Right, I think the locating peg is in, but the actual screw hole isn't in yet, and that's obviously because we haven't screwed it in yet. So we need an HP screw, just the one, and that goes in like, my hands are very shaky today for some reason. So there we go, that's in, and I'm only going to just put that in just enough so that the parts don't move, and that's pretty fantastic. So then this piece is going to go on, there's only one place it can go, can you see two notches there, and that's going to go on that way with the screws showing. That looks odd, doesn't it? But that is correct. That is definitely correct, because if you look at stage 3 in the magazine, it shows in that orientation. So we want 2 EM screws. So I will get one on the screwdriver, one ready, and we will just put the first one in, just enough to bite. So just like stage 1, we don't want to over tighten these. We want them really tight, but we don't want to over tighten them because we run the risk of cracking the plastic part. So you see there it is still loose. Okay, so check the parts are still in line, and then we can finish tightening those up. Okay. Right, so that end is in tight. And that one's in tight, and then there's I think there's a little bit of movement there, so I'll just see if I can give that an extra half a turn. There we go. So I'm happy with that. So on to stage 3. So now we need these brackets, C and D. These are engine left front wall and engine right front wall. So let me make sure I've got these correct. This is piece C and this is piece D, and the main difference between the two is that the left side has 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the right only has 2. So arranging it in the orientation shown in the magazine is a little bit confusing, but I can see that this is going on like that, and the reason I can see that is because in the next step of stage 3, where this is going on, it shows this part. So there is no part for this one, so therefore it has to go into there, and that will, in fact, all of these will be secured with DM screws, and I can see straight away that it's going to be quite awkward. So I'm going to use my my Wilco screwdriver. Which isn't the best screwdriver in the world, but for this particular job it's going to be perfect. So I want to do the inside first. I'm just feeling that because of this strut, if we get that in there over that strut, that will just be a little bit easier. There we go. So they're both in just loosely. So excuse me, now I'll do it this way. There we go, that's in fine. There we go, and there's still a little bit of movement there, so I'll see if I can get another half a turn or so. Oh, there we go, I got quite a lot out of that one. So not, there we go, I wasn't 100% sure, but I think I've got another quarter of a turn. There we go, I'm happy with that. So then we place on the right side, that's going on like so. That's interesting that this one goes over the strut, but this one it doesn't. But it is correct. You can see 2 holes, one there, and I will put the inside, in fact actually I'm going to put it through there and then feed it through. So as you see, that's just enough just to hold it, and I'll carefully line these up, and there we go, that goes in fine. There we go, that's perfect. Right, happy with that, very, very happy. So that is stage 3 complete. This bit looks a bit odd. I'm sure that once we put it on, it will all come into place. So stage 4, we require these parts 20 parts E. Now these should be both the same, which I can see that they are. And then we need part F which these are both the same. So whatever I'm doing here, it looks like I'm going to do the same thing twice. However, there's two different brackets. So we have G, and this does not look like G. This actually looks like H, which is the second one, and G, which is the top one. Now, I'm not sure if this is a damaged part or not. I don't think it is. It actually looks okay. However, in the magazine, and I will just bring the magazine across, to me, that doesn't look the same. So I will go with it. It could well be that they've changed the parts or they changed the magazine. The artist might not have realised that that it wasn't a circle, but that is definitely the correct orientation because of the locating peg there. So what we're going to do is this. We want one hole exposed, which is, I don't think that's right. Right. I see. Right. Okay. So part needs to be held like this, and we want that hole. There we go. So this you need to place this over, but there's two locating pegs, and there's two holes. You need to place it into the locating pegs into the holes, but you also need that hole there at the bottom as you're holding this off to the right. Then this piece will come into play, and that locating peg needs to go into that hole, and then that needs to go on to there, but that's really not a comfortable fit. I'm really not happy with that. However, I can see that once it's screwed in, that locating peg will be enough to secure it. So I will press on with it and we'll see what happens. Right, so that can go through the middle. And this is quite a fiddly part. So I wonder if it might be easier to pop the screw in first. And then we'll just give that just a couple of turns. Just enough to bite, you see. Then we can line up that peg. And then we can complete screwing it. Give it a few turns, because that peg isn't being held in by an awful lot. So give it a few turns and then check that it's still lined up, and there it is, it's lined up. So it's a little bit loose, so I will just screw that a little bit more. It's pretty much as I dare, and that's the first one done. So the second one, now that we know what we're doing, so this part, E, now wants to come in from the opposite side, and the hole wants to be near the top. So there's the locating pegs. Just trying to get a good light. So they will go on like so, and you see that the hole is at the top. And then this piece, H, oh, we've got to work this out. It looks like it's curving slightly. Wow. Okay, so I can see that I'm guessing they're locating pegs. The one on the inside wants to be lower than the one on the outside. So I believe that is correct. And that locating peg wants to go into that hole, leaving that screw hole free. And just like the previous one, we want an HP screw. And again, just like the previous one, we will do just a few turns of the screw, and then we can just keep checking that locating peg. In fact, this one fits so much better than the previous one. So there we go, and I'll just give that probably about another quarter of a turn. There we go, quarter of a turn. So that one is is done. So figure B, we actually want to attach this. It looks like this one is going there. Which doesn't look correct to me. And then this one is going there. So but that does look correct. Wow, this is a difficult issue. Okay, let's go with this one. We want 2 HP screws, so they are being screwed into plastic. We want 2 screws because we're doing 2 different parts. Each part will be secured by a single screw and a locating peg. So I think what I'll do, I will just screw this in how I believe it goes in, and then we'll have a look. And if later on in the magazine it suggests that we've done it wrong, we can always change it. See, what I don't like is that there just seems to be a gap there, but that does seem to be correct. I'm sure that is correct. I'm positive. And I'm going to just switch screwdrivers for this last one because it is a slightly fiddly thin piece. So obviously if you've already built this stage, I would be very interested in your comments. Because quite often we'll build something which kind of creates the foundation for something else, and it's not until we do that other stage that we realise I'm really struggling with this. So I'm just going to have to just locate the screw. You see, I've just put it in just a tiny bit, then I'm just going to manoeuvre this until I get the locate. In fact, actually I put the screw in at an angle which is terrible. But that's another reason why you only put them in partially. But that locating peg is now in place, so I can continue to screw this in, and that's as far as it wants to go. So both of these seem quite happy on there. I don't know, I'm really confused as to what this is. So at this stage I have no idea, but as I say, it will probably all come into place later on. So the next step, step 5, we actually require the radiator from the previous stage, and what we want to do is screw side out and the radiator cap on the left. That will go onto there like so, and that will be secured with 4 DP screws. So that's rather interesting. So let's get my DP screws, and we'll just close up my HP screws because I don't want to lose them. And as I normally do, I'm going to work corner to corner. So we'll start off with this corner, and that's only enough in to bite. It's not in really tight. And this one, oops, that doesn't want to go. I'm really struggling with this screwdriver head, you know. Okay, that's in. And you know, I'm gonna switch this one. This seems to be the favoured one at the moment, or possibly even this one. There we go, that's going in a dream now. I think it's probably the actual screwdriver that's helping. So, right. So, they're in just loose. So now I will just finish those off. I wish the lighting was better. There we go. And then opposite corner. Okay, and I'm just going until the screw is telling me to slow down. So about there. And I could probably screw it in further, but then I could probably crack all of the plastic. So there we go. So that radiator is on there solid, there's no movement, and I'm very happy with it. And that's stage 5 complete. And that leaves one more stage, which is stage 6. Now what stage 6 is we're actually going to be fitting this onto the chassis. Now I know that next week's build, or next issue's build, is doing some chassis work, so I'm actually going to opt to leave this off for this issue. I can't see the point in dragging the chassis onto the table, then putting it back on the shelf, and then for the next issue drag it all out again. So I'm actually going to finish this off next issue, but obviously I will make that clear what I'm doing at the beginning of the next issue. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that brought you some joy. It certainly is bringing me joy. So what I hope to do then is I will start filming the next one, which is stage 26, control box, battery and oil reservoir. So I hope to catch you all in the next video.